Very good afternoon to you once again as we continue counting down to the big semi-final tonight in the Rugby World Cup. Already we have seen the All Blacks booking their place in the final. The big question is who will be joining them later tonight. Now, South African fans have gathered in Paris to support the Springboks for the semi-final against England. Sports Minister Zizi Kodwa is in Paris to support the team. Newzroom Afrika sports editor Vaylen Kirtley is standing by with the minister. Vaylen, a lot of excitement as we look ahead to this game, and I see the minister all clad in Springbok colors. What's the mood like as we look into this one?
All clad in Springbok colors and still looking very smart. It's something that a lot of the people that he came to greet here at Cafe Arts in Paris mentioned. The style of the minister, but all clad in green and gold. And I also got given a South African flag, although our rainbow-colored flag is something that you see all over this establishment, and I expect that it's also going to brighten up the Stade de France today. Minister, welcome to Newzroom Afrika. After the Springboks made the semi-final, you had to come and support them.
Well, last game on Sunday, it was a nail biting. I'm sure we woke up in the morning on Monday with less nails because it was a really tight game. When there was 25-19, almost all South Africans were like, it's over. But it's resilience, it's discipline, commitment and dedication. Our boys, the last 4 minutes of the game, they changed the game, winning 29-28. It's historic. Today, as you can see, in spite of the cold weather in Paris, look at how South Africans have come in numbers. By the way, not only South Africans, we see French people who came in their numbers because Springboks have now become a global brand. It's no longer celebrated by 62 million South Africans. I'm happy that you're here, and I'm confident, spoken to judge this afternoon, that the boys, no pressure, they must do what they do best. I'm sure if you see what happens in India now in cricket, it will inspire the Springboks this evening when they play against England, because I have no doubt that we'll win against England in India. Cricket have done very well done even before they win, but I think there is no way that 199 for 8, that they'll come back chasing 399. I don't think it's possible. I'm quite excited to be in Paris to support our boys.
In this World Cup, though, we've had a situation where we were worried that we may not even be able to see our beautiful rainbow flag being flown. And with our national anthem, the case had to be taken to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. You said you were going to investigate the matter. Is that ongoing? And when is the Court of Arbitration for Sports hearing?
I had to act quickly, because if you look at the consequences of WADA, are quite serious to any sporting nation, given the fact that 2 of our national teams were already participating in World Cups. But the impact of WADA should have been anticipated by whoever who I think the ball was dropped somewhere. But I think it would be premature to make statements about who and chase shadows. I need to investigate, and therefore my intention is to appoint a retired judge to investigate what happened, so that we mitigate. This must never happen again. In a country such as South Africa, we don't need on the eve, at the doorstep of such World Cups, you hear such sentiments. When we are a champion of anti-doping as the country, so our participation and commitment should be unquestionable. But the fact that there was a gap where WADA was looking for people, was looking for answers, it had to come to a decision it came to. It's quite unfortunate. We have taken certain actions immediately to make sure that we meet the requirements of reinstatement of SAIDs, including the draft bill, which has been approved by Cabinet. That draft bill is now before the Office of the State Law Advisor. Parliament is ready to fast-track the bill. So we're quite committed to make sure that we meet the conditions that set out in the WADA consequences.
What has the energy been like at home behind the Springboks? I've been here at the Rugby World Cup from the 5th of September, so we only see the kinds of messages of support. But have you noticed a certain mobilization behind this team? Is there a certain different energy within South Africa behind the Springboks and, of course, the Proteas?
Well, I had many conversations with media people, and they were asking a lot about Bafana, why we've not done. There's something unique about Springboks. They have given expression to the winning nation. Their performance on field, it gives this kind of expression you see here in Paris. And if Bafana were to do the same, I can assure you, the nation will rally behind them. What Proteas men's cricket they are doing in India will rally the same. So it's something unique about rugby, but also their performance on the field. They give it all because of the love of the country. So to make us love our country, to make us love our flag, that indeed we are truly South Africans, because they play as a team, and you can see they give it all. They play their hearts out. When they sing our national anthem, they sing it out. See our captain. When they sing before the start of the game, you can see it's a prayer. And this is what we miss sometimes, and this is the role of sport. And I think all our national teams, there's something they can learn from Springboks.
So we are sitting at the doorstep of a prospective final between South Africa and New Zealand, which would be a repeat of the 1995 World Cup final, which World Rugby themselves say was one of the greatest rugby matches, not only because of the results and thereafter the game turned professional, but also what it meant for South Africa. This team, the most transformed team that we've seen in the game of rugby, and a prospective final against New Zealand. What are your thoughts on that?
Why the cusp of making history? 1995 was very historic in many ways. As you know, our former president walked into Ellis Park wearing that number 6 jersey. That changed South Africa in many ways. If you were to fast forward, history will be the judge of what he said in then about the power of sport, even to the extent of disagreeing with his own comrades on Springboks as a symbol. But again, history will be the judge. But how correct he was when he said, let's keep Springboks, the Springbokke. And I think President Mandela, this reign is for almost like a blessing of what he said in 1995. If we were to fast forward, Springboks are one of the best structures. And I think when I talk about school sport, there's a lessons to be learned on why Springbok has been so successful, rapid and successful. I hope other sporting codes are learning the thing or two. And I think we're proud as a nation that we have used sport to unite us. And Springbok has emerged as one of our sporting codes that is able to unite South Africans.
How do we get it across all sports though? Because SA Rugby, I'm sure if you go to them and ask them to help share the lessons, that they can transfer that knowledge to other sporting codes. So we can have that winning nation, not just in rugby and a select few sports, but in a number of sports.
There are two things. In my meetings when I first took the office with all the Big 5 federations, I said there are two things that will make you the best. It's governance and leadership, stability in leadership. We must not read front pages about what happens wrong in a federation. Sport, all that must be in the back page. That's why when I read in any newspaper, I start from the back. What must be in the front page are the results, not squabbles and the problems. We have a stable leadership and good governance, you're likely to have what we see here. But we need to see those results in Cricket South Africa, stability, which has not been there in the past. We're beginning to see that with SARU, stability, and we are beginning to see a number of other federations. Two things, leadership, stability, and good governance.
What about football in the country? As much as South Africa are a rugby-loving nation, we're a football-loving nation as well. Are you quite concerned by the situation you currently see at SAFA? You've mentioned Bafana Bafana, that they would see this kind of support with the results on the field.
I'm concerned like most South Africans, and I express this with SAFA leadership, that the quality of football in the country generally, not only at a national level, because the reason you don't have a national team that performs better, because you have no feeder, either at a grassroots level, at a club level, where you can select. Let me tell you the first problem. You have some of your best strikers, for example, almost across the PSL. They are foreign nationals. Where do you select from if you're looking for the best strikers for national team, when you don't have strikers at a club level? What it means, we've got to have a focus at the school grassroots level, to school level, to build and select this pool of young stars. But I think for you to have the best Bafana, you've got to start afresh. You've got to start afresh. And I'm not suggesting they will not do well at the AFCON. They will do well, but I think there's got to have a very clear pathway that we need to rebuild Bafana to restore that pride we have about our football in the country.
Minister, I know that as much as we're getting very excited for South Africa versus England in the second Rugby World Cup semi-final, of course, the South Africans are taking on the defending cricket world champions in England, in India at the moment. And I know you've been following this match closely, so as we wrap up this interview, I just want to give you an update. South Africa having scored 399 for 7 in their innings and leaving 400 runs for victory for England. At the moment, England 8 wickets down and on just 149 runs. Minister's already called it. He said he's congratulated the Proteas already for a fantastic performance, but that is the latest score and a victory.
Only a magic that can change that game. It's only a magic that can change that game. There's just a magic that can change that game. Nothing that can change the victory of our Proteas.
Lovely stuff. And the Minister is going to be in the suite this evening with some of English royalty. And I think that maybe sports is going to be a little bit of a difficult conversation between the South African Sports Minister, Zizi Kodwa, and the royal family after the great rivalry has played out in not only cricket, but also in rugby. Minister, thank you very much for your time here on Newzroom Afrika.
Enjoy, friends.